Hey there, folks, and welcome back. Um, in our last video, oh, by the way, again, I'm Corns. In our last video, we explained how to be able to set up media boards for references, and now we're going to get into actually building the layout to our map. So I'm gonna be using this really simple seller map because I don't want this to be like a super long video where I build this really complex map, because that's not going to do you guys any good. This is just to show you the basics, okay? Now, uh, on that note, don't get too confused by these videos. The stuff, like the functions that I'm using, and the stuff that I'm doing is actually very basic when it comes to building in Second Life. I'm just trying to be as descriptive as possible to be able to answer any questions that you guys might have. And yes, I do get a little bit sidetracked here and there, and I do apologize for that. But just bear with me, okay? Um, After we left off last time, I had set up this media board, and now all that's left is rather, what we need to do now is set up the outline. Okay, it's very easy to do, and I will show you how to do that right now. Okay, so to start, go into your inventory, and actually, let me just collapse everything and reopen the main folder. So this is the master folder. Okay, go into your map construction folder. Okay, once you have that open, go down to your walls subfolder. Okay, once you have that up, before actually you go any further, you're going to want to make sure that you unlink your alignment grid. And the reason for this is the alignment grid allows you to align pieces um, on your map to along basically with the centering of each tile, or rather in relation to the center of each tile in a column. Okay, so to show you what I mean, as you can see, there's all these. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just resize my media board for a second because it will make it easier to see all the grid lines and such. And actually, you know what? Screw it. 1 second. Don't do what I'm doing. All right. And move that up. And then what I'm going to do is here. Where are you? Parchment. Good. Set that to full bright. Perfect. Okay. And then move that. And okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up a really basic base to the map. And the reason why I'm doing this is it allows me to just kind of show the alignment grid pieces. It just makes it easier. Okay. So all right, now I'm gonna lower the media board back down. Okay, so you can see it on the map. So there we go. All right, you see all the lines. Okay. Um, So, to be able to align a piece in the center of a map, or sorry, in the center of a tile or a tile column, you have to look at the end of each tile column, and you'll see a brightly colored piece jutting up out at the very edge of the map. Okay? These are for centering in the middle of the tiles or tile columns. Okay? The reason why, though, they do not stretch right across the map is the tiles were set to be a specific size when I was originally building this. And I wanted to make it so that all of them could be a game piece or a furniture piece or whatever could be centered in the middle of any given tile using these alignment pieces. But I didn't want these alignment pieces to be going right across the board because yes, they serve a purpose to a certain extent for any game. They're also a bit of an eyesore, I found, and because the tiles are a certain size, I didn't want to say have and don't don't use the command I'm about to do, which is dragon copy, but basically have something like this, right? That basically makes it look like there are four tiles inside of one of these large tiles. That's not how it's supposed to look on for this system. And also as a result, it would, or rather, basically doing it this way allows it for a DM to be able to get the centering coordinates for any given piece easily just by looking at the edge of the map and following the column until it reaches the end. Now, the reason why I have this whole zippering thing, where basically you have a piece and then it's empty, and then another piece, and so on and so forth, is they're alternating between sides. So on this side you got the red, so you got red, and then you got green. Actually, you know what? Hang on. I'll do this to kind of just explain it a little bit better. So we got that, and then that. Okay. So this is from the red side. This is from the green side, right? It's a zippering effect, basically, is what I call it, and it allows for a DM to be able to easily distinguish um, which basically like a column to another column, or okay, sorry, to be able to easily distinguish any given column from its the column on either side of it. So, for example, this shows that it's a green column, okay, and then it makes sense for this to be a red column and this a red column, okay. So, it yes, you have to do a little bit of rotating around with the camera and all that to be able to see each side, but honestly, it's very easy to use. It's not really that hard, okay? Now, that's the alignment grid, or sorry, colored alignment pieces out of the way. The black alignment grid pieces, however, are a little bit different. These allow you to set down the walls of pieces and anything that might be on the edge, so like a door or a window, as an example. Okay. So to that end, we're actually, you know, I just realized this is a little bit larger than I need it to be, so I'm gonna actually resize it. Okay, and because you're a cube, I'm gonna move that over. Sit tight, folks. There we go. Okay, now it's a little bit more better sized. Okay, so with all that stuff being said, let's get started in building the outline, okay? Now, in the manual, I explained, or the DM user manual, or DM kit user manual that we wrote for the Windows Industries tabletop system, D20 tabletop system. I explained that when you're building an outline, it's best to place your wall pieces, like individual wall pieces, all along the edge and wherever else on the map. However, um, that's mostly only good for building a map that has either multiple levels or you're building a map without using a reference map. Okay? The reason for which is it allows you to be able to play a bit more with the with like height variations and stuff like that. You know, like say for example, if you put down a wall and then you decide you want to put in a second floor, you can basically bring one side up, or sorry, one wall up, and then have a lower one down like this, and then basically where my fingertips are like pressing, right? You can put in a staircase to be able to link this floor with this floor. Okay, um, that's what I mean. Now for this, because I have a really clear idea of what I'm doing, all I have to do is I have to create basically two sets of walls, one for the base and then one for this upper area. So to that end, for these really simple ones, you can um, skip the placing individual wall step and just go straight to the resizing part. So what I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to do this corner, like basically this section of wall here, okay, this section, and this section I'm going to do with just placing down like a single wall and then resizing it. And then what I'm going to do is for this upper area, I'm going to do individual tiles on this section and this section, and then show you what to do for that. So I'm going to show you both styles in one video, okay? But let's digress. Let's just get right back into it though, okay? So what you're going to want to do is place your first map, or sorry, wall tile, okay? So to do that, all you have to do is basically go into your inventory, left click on generic 1, and then boom, reses right in world. Now you have to align it with your on your table. So to do that, because I'm going to work on this wall first, I'm going to align it with just using one of the red pieces because it's right on my screen. Okay. So select the a alignment colored alignment piece along the edge. So for this case, it's a red piece. Go into your object tab, okay? And under the, actually before I go any further, I'm gonna point something out. As you can see, there's red and green that go along the left and right, forward and back, okay? Like movement of an object. The blue is for up and down, so height, okay? Because we want to basically align this wall with this this column of tiles, we need to use the red arrow, so the x-axis arrow. So that means once we figure out which way this wall is going to align it with this tile, or sorry, this tile column, once we know that we're using the red arrow, all we have to do is go into the object tab of the build menu, highlight the X number, so that's this 21 whatever. It will probably be a different number for wherever it is that you're set up, but for where I am right now, this works, okay? So once you have that highlighted, press Control C on your keyboard, okay? And then left click on your wall piece, and then double click in the X axis value box, and then press Control V. That will play or copy and paste the X value, or sorry, the X position value for that red piece that we just had highlighted, and we'll paste it into this wall piece, okay? Then all you have to do is press enter, and boom, it's aligned, okay? So once you have that aligned, you're going to want to lower it down so that it's just barely sitting on top of your media board, okay? Once you have that done, we gotta align it with the black grid piece. Same thing that we did with the red arrow, but this time we're using the green arrow. Now, one little note is, as you can see, the red pieces were for that red arrow. These blue pieces, and the red arrow also applies to the green pieces as well, just FYI. But the green arrow applies to the yellow and blue alignment pieces along the edge, okay? So just keep that in mind for future reference. So basically, if you're trying to align along this column, it'll be the green column, or sorry, the green arrow. Red for this way. The other thing to note is if you've rotated your table, this will change the positioning of these alignment pieces. So, in terms as to the green and red arrows. Okay, to show you what I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to res a fresh copy of the alignment grid. Where are we? Table assembly, assembly parts, alignment grid. Okay, so as you can see right here, okay, we got the fresh. I'm just gonna zoom out to the roof here. It'll make life easiest. Okay. So as you can see here, okay, we got the red pieces here, blue pieces here, green pieces here, yellow pieces here. Okay. This is the same rotation of the grid that is the same as the table downstairs. But watch what happens when I rotate it. Okay. Notice what happened? The red and green pieces are now used for the green arrow, and the blue and yellow pieces are now used for the red arrow. Okay, so if you've rotated the grid and the table or either one, make sure you make note of that because it will make alignment a little bit different in terms as to which ones you use. Okay. So anyways, let's get back down to our little wall, okay? So now that we have our wall piece aligned with the edge color here, or sorry, the edge pieces, and it's lowered down height-wise, okay? It's time to align it with the black grid piece. So because we're moving it forward and backwards, we got to use the green arrow. Okay. So again, all you gotta do is double left click double left click the texture or text box of the black alignment piece that goes along the border of whatever map that you're building or whatever section of map that you're working on. Okay. Control C, left click on your wall piece, and boom, it's placed. Or sorry, it's aligned with that black grid piece. This makes it so that it's very easy to be able to, say, for example, do that wall, and then have that wall aligned, and then, for example, let's say we want to set up this wall, so let's see, there we go. Okay, we're using red, so boom. And what we want to do is align that. Okay. And then last piece goes over there. So what I've just done is I've set up 4 wall pieces that are going to allow me to build the outline of this map very quickly along each line. Okay. It's a little bit of extra setup, but it pays off in the long run. Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be showing you both methods of being able to build your wall outline. So I'm going to start with the first method where that I had mentioned, where at least I think it was the first one I mentioned, where I basically just resize one wall piece along the edge of a reference board. Okay, so to that end, find the black alignment piece or colored alignment piece, depending on if this is a uneven map. So, like, say for example, that. Okay. If my map were like this size, then the colored alignment piece would be the centering the centering reference point. Okay. But because this is an even one, we have to use like 6 spaces by, I think, is it 6 spaces by 6? Yeah, it is. Okay. So because of that, we have to use the black alignment piece to align this piece a little bit further. Okay. It's very easy to do. All you have to do is select it, figure out if you're using the red or green axis, copy the values, paste them, and then it's centered. Now all you have to do is go into your building menu and activate the stretch both sides option. So this one right here, okay? Now what that does is when you activate this, the resizing function, it allows you to basically take one side and move it and have the other side move at the exact same time in the exact same distance, okay? This is really handy for when you're doing a map because obviously you can cover the same amount of space in half the amount of time without having to do each side. And it just makes it super even, okay? So now that I have that side done, I'm going to do the same with this one. So first things first, we gotta align it with the black alignment piece. Left click, or double left click rather. Paste. Stretch both sides is on. And then all I gotta do is just bring it in. Now I'm going to use this piece as the outside piece and use this one as the inner piece when it comes to the intersecting, okay? So I'm going to have it just barely touching this wall. And then what I'm going to do is that. I'm going to have it aligned just so that it's like it's properly aligned with that piece, right? It doesn't have to be super perfect because like it doesn't really matter too much as long as it's just about right. But that's only if you're not an OCD, if or if you're not like super picky or have like really good attention to detail, because that will probably bug you if it's not perfect, and that's absolutely fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the other method of placing down your walls, and that is placing down individual walls. So to do that, all you have to do is use basically the copy and drag function, which is basically you press shift and then you use an arrow to basically drag a copy off of the original, okay? Pardon me. I need some water. So, I'm gonna bring that piece back out. So once you have a piece that's been copied and dragged, all you have to do is align it. Because it's already aligned along this black grid piece, all you have to do is use the outside pieces. And there's a little trick to this. Once you have a piece properly aligned with a alignment grid piece, or sorry, colored alignment grid piece, you can, and you have another one next to it that's already been aligned as well with the opposite side. What you can do is select that, press shift to do a multiple select. So once you have that selected, click on the next one, and then use Control L to link it. And then, so that basically sticks them together so that they move as one with the piece in yellow, once you've linked, being the master, the mother prim, okay? So the reason why I say this is a little shortcut is, as you can see, there's this whole, like this gap in between these blue pieces because the yellow pieces are on the other side, right? Well, doing this allows you to drag and copy it and then use one of the outside pieces to basically, boom, it does it all in one shot. So you can do that side, and then, oops, do that side, and it's done, okay? And then what you can do is, because I've already got this piece here, I'm just going to save myself a little bit of time and take that out. Align that piece, okay? And then I can do the exact same, oops, rotate that around. I can do the exact same thing on this side, okay? So select the red piece, or sorry, the piece for the red axis cube or axis. Okay. Whoops, and I screwed that up. Let me fix that. Boom. And then boom. Done. So I've got all these walls placed, okay? Now, like I said, this is useful because when you're doing a map that is multiple levels in height, you're going to want to have these set up so that it's easier to basically uh, have it set up so that you're able to create variations in height, okay? Uh, so for this map, I think what's going to be easiest for me to do is to get the red axis cube, sorry, the red axis position, create a copy of this wall, paste it to that, and then with these pieces selected, raise them up like so, and that creates the second floor walls, okay? And then you can do the exact same thing, but this time, sorry, you can do the exact same thing with these walls as well, but this time, what you can do is link them all together, and then copy the blue axis height position from these walls, paste it to those, so they go up to the exact same height, and then using the green axis, I'm able to align that wall there, and that creates the basic wall outline for my map. Okay? So, now we gotta do floors. Actually, you know what? No, we're not gonna do floors yet. So, as I mentioned, there's that whole process for laying out individual wall pieces. There's a reason for that. Basically, at this point, we're able to create variations in the walls. So, for example, let's put in a door, just for explanation's sake. Where are we? Doors. Okay, we'll go with a single door. Okay, so let's say we want to create an entrance for our map here. Okay. Well, the second floor entrance is very easy to put in. All you have to do is res your piece, okay? And now what you can do is you can copy that wall piece, paste it to the piece, lower it down. You have to eyeball this one a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal, okay? So that it's barely touching the top of the lower wall, okay? And then what you can do is delete this wall piece, and then delete that wall piece, as well as these wall pieces, and then turn off stretch both sides, okay? And then we're going to bring it in so it just barely touches this wooden post, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same with this side, okay? And that basically makes it so that this door will, or rather the walls will meet perfectly so that they align properly, okay? So now, all we need to do is, basically what I'm about to do is I'm just going to raise this wall so that it aligns, come on, properly, or as close to properly, with the top wall. So that this basically creates sort of like a cutout interior for the map, so that when players are playing on it, they're able to see most of the details, but not have to do an like a top-down view, right? They're able to view it from the side here and see most of the map details all in one. Okay. So now we're going to set up the flooring. Okay, very easy to do. Uh, so for this, what we're doing is we're going to actually what you want to do is copy the XYZ coordinates for positioning. Okay, and then you're going to want to create a flat or like create a new cube. So to do that, all you have to do is click on this create button and then just left click anywhere. Okay, and then activate the resize function with stretch both sides on. Okay, to make it as flat as possible. And then with the XYZ coordinates for the media board copied, click the paste button. Okay, and then all you have to do is now there's two routes you can do this. First, you can do the bottom floor, if your map has two floors, or you can do or just do the bottom floor all in one shot if it's just one floor, or if it's a two floor. Whoops, I have the wrong item selected. Sometimes you might need to move a object out of the way to be able to get an object that's at the exact same spot. So just like so. So all you have to do is just use any of the arrows to move it off to the side, and then once you have whatever other board or object is in the way out of the way, press Control Z, which is the undo button, to bring it back. Okay. So once I have that set up, I want to set up that second floor with those boards, that walkway or whatever it is. Okay. So to do that, all you have to do is just position this like so until it's in like it's in a relatively good position, and then resize it with stretch both sides off so that it matches. Actually, you know what? It's probably a good idea if you do this as well. Lower it down so that it's along the alignment grid, but just barely, so that you're able to just align it that way. Okay. So now once that's aligned, you can use stretch both sides to get a little bit going there, and then once turn off actually stretch both sides. It's probably easiest that way. And then use the resize function, okay, to be able to resize it so that it goes down on both ways, okay. And then all you have to do is shift drag to be able to get it down so that you can align it with this side. And again, just use the alignment grid like I am doing now. Okay. And then actually I can just use the black grid pieces. I don't need to worry about the outside pieces. Green here. And then move that in there. Okay. Now, as you can see, there's going to be stairs, and I will show you how to put in stairs later, but that's for a different, another video. So for this case, what we want to do is we want to resize and create a single tile. So all you have to do is just that, like just with stretchable sides off, you can just resize it so that it's perfectly right in the center of the tile that you're wanting to put it onto. Okay. Now, as you can see over here, hang on a second. Let me zoom in. There's a bit of like an overlapping thing right here. Okay. That's because there's two 3D objects occupying a bit of the same space. So all you have to do to get rid of that is just resize it so that it's not overlapping anymore. Oops. And I screwed up a little bit here, so let me just fix that. There we go. Perfect. Resize this end. And we have the basis for our second floor. So now all you have to do is select all three of these using multi-select. So shift, left click, and then just raise it up and have it set up so that it's roughly in the middle between this gap right here. Okay. Now that gap it will get filled in eventually, but we'll show you how to do that in another video, okay? Now I screwed this up a little bit, so I'm just going to fix these. So just stand by. Oop, we got a little bit of overlap here as well. So let's just fix that up. And perfect. At this point, you're able to use the media board. If you have like a lower floor, you can use that media board as the secondary basis tile of the for texturing and stuff like that for your map. So, but because there's a little bit more in the video series that I got to do with this map, I'm going to leave that blank. But I will show you how to properly texture these tiles. Okay, so to do that, texturing is very easy. All you have to do is, if you're coloring a number of objects the same texture, just multi-select them, link them together, and we're going to do the same with the walls. So multi-select, using shift and then left clicking. There we go. All these walls are linked together, okay? And then all you have to do is go into your inventory, go into your textures folder, and then find a wall piece, or sorry, a wall texture that you think will work well, okay? So, let's see, we're doing sort of like a cellar. So let's check out dungeon, see if we can find a good one in here. No, that's too light. Yeah, still too light. No. No. Hey, that works. So, with that selected, and now that we know which texture we're going to use, okay, open up your texture tab, and then left click on the wall texture in your inventory, and then drag it over. Actually, hang on. Before I go any further, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So in Second Life, there are really two options for being able to texture an object. The first option is to literally just drag from your inventory over here to the texture box. But you're also able to do this by simply clicking on the texture box, and it brings up this. This allows you to view all of the textures in your inventory and only textures. However, I don't like this. This particular function, because I find that a lot of times when I'm texturing a number of items all together, there's a bit of lag and some of the textures don't apply properly. So what I do is, oh, and also if you do use this method, all you have to do is basically find your texture. So I'm gonna, this one has all the same textures in it, so we'll use that. So dungeon, and then wall 5, and then all you have to do is hit OK. But the way I do it is I just left click on the texture, and I bring it over, and I do the same thing. It does the same function, but I find that it doesn't have as many issues with lag, personally. Okay? So once you have that set, you're going to want to, as you can see, everything looks a little stretched and it looks really weird, right? There's a way of fixing that. To do that, go to the mapping drop-down box and click on planar. Okay? What will happen is everything kind of stretches out a little bit and basically sort of aligns itself with all of the other objects. So it's basically like creating a single 3D object out of multiple objects and then applying the texture evenly over it. Okay? Now, sometimes there will be a little bit of flubbing in the system. So like the system will screw up one or two of like the texture parameters along here. So to fix that, all you have to do is click on Align Planar Faces, okay? And then you can just mess with the settings a little bit until everything aligns properly, okay? So, sort of like so. And for some reason, the outside is not working properly. So let's try this. Oh, okay, I see what's going on. All right. So sometimes you might also get issues like this where the textures kind of go wonky. That's just because of the rotation in like the rotation function. So to fix that, all you have to do is use select face, and then go into the inventory, or sorry, go into the build menu, and then just change those individually, like so. So now everything looks nice and even along the edge. It actually looks a little bit like a cellar, but we're not done yet. We got to do the flooring too. Again, we're texturing these, so it's very easy. Go into your inventory, find yourself a texture. For this, I'm going to use. Ooh, I know. I got a nice dirty wood floor. Yeah, that works. So again, just use either method, either texture or like click on the texture box. Actually, you know what? No, I don't like that look. I'm gonna go with another one. Let's see here. Da, da, da. No. Perfect. That actually looks a little bit better. Okay. To create sort of like that that wood slat kind of thing. Okay. So again, what we want to do is we want them to be the textures to be aligned properly. So what you want to do is go into here again, go to mapping, planar, and then align the pieces, and boom. Now, mind you, you know what? Let's try rotating them a little bit, and then select these so that it looks a little bit better. Because I don't know, I didn't like the way they looked before. So now that we have our flooring placed down, okay, that's basically it for this video. So I've shown you how to properly place flooring, as well as to set up walls and to texture. Okay. So with that, join me in the next video, and I'll be showing you guys how to set up your alignment grids for like additional flooring. Okay. So until then, see you later.